Hi guys, MrRoflWaffles here. This is my long-awaited Ultimate Zombies in Spaceland Easter egg guide. Let's do this. Before we start, I'm going to give you a couple of words of advice that I think will be pertinent to your game. Firstly, do not get rid of your spawn pistol, the Kendall. It is extremely useful to keep that pistol and then pack-a-punch it, get yourself bomb stoppers, aka PhD, and use it during the SETI defense step that we'll be seeing a little later into this guide. Once you get past the SETI defense, feel free to get rid of it. You'll probably want to swap it out for one of the wonder weapon pistols that are available on the map. That's the Face Melter, Discord, Shredder, or Head Cutter. I have guides for all of them on my channel. They're linked in the description down below and on screen now, so go check those out and get them built in your game. The Shredder is my personal favorite for taking out the boss. Also, this Easter egg is definitely, certainly at the time of recording this video, harder in co-op. In fact, it gets harder the more players you have in the game, and so if you want to just do this straight away and get it done in as hassle-free a manner as possible, you're probably going to want to play solo or, at most, 2-player. Anything more than that, right now, is really rather hairy. Also, don't expect to do it first time, because some of it's extremely easy, but other bits, namely the boss fight, is a little difficult to get used to at first for most people, so don't worry about it if you don't get through it first game. Be patient, and you will succeed. Fate and Fortune cards I would recommend would be potentially one card to help you with your SETI defense, which is essentially just defending a point for a fixed amount of time. So cards like Black Hole Fun, which gets you access to a black hole grenade gun, are generally going to be quite useful, and although they won't be good in the boss fight, they'll at least mean that you can get to that boss fight in an earlier round because you are much less likely to fail a SETI defense and have to go a couple of extra rounds to get a max ammo or something like that. Raining bullets can also be quite helpful for SETI defense, and then for the boss fight, I'd say if you're going co-op, things like Rising Phoenix are an absolute godsend, and Perk Insured is also really useful even if you're playing solo, because you'll keep your perks after you are revived, which is amazing. I also highly recommend Second Wind. But anyway, let's get into the guide itself. In order to start this quest off, you're going to need to complete 2 activities. The first of those is opening the Pack-a-Punch area of the map, which should really be a fairly straightforward activity for you. Obviously, there's a teleporter in Polar Peak, in Kepler, in the arcade, and finally in the Journey into Space areas of the map, and you just need to go through those teleporters once each, and you'll have Pack-a-Punch open. I highly recommend you go into the PAP room as well once you've done this, and hold square or F or whatever your use key is on the UFOs that are lying on the desk in the corner here, as those will be needed for later on. The second activity of the 2 that I mentioned were necessary to really start this Easter egg properly is to build the seticom. Now, this thing is really rather easy to access, but it will mean that you need to open up a fairly large amount of the park, but if you're also doing that to open Pack-a-Punch, then it shouldn't really be an issue. The seticom is made of 3 parts: an umbrella, a calculator, and a boombox. I'm going to show you the locations of all of those now. Each has 3 spawns. We'll start off with the umbrella. One spawn is here in the Cosmic Way area of the map, lying on a red bench. Another spawn is in the Journey into Space area, just before you get to the rocket trap, lying in the corner here, in a shadow, so keep your eye out for it. And the final spawn that is possible is in the Polar Peak gift shop, lying on the counter just to the side here. The boombox can spawn in the Cosmic Way area again on the bridge leading to the actual spawn of the map itself, or the boombox can be in the Kepler area of the map, up by the bar, just lying on the countertop there. And then the final spawn for the boombox is downstairs, underground, inside the little coffee break room. Again, just lying on a counter. The calculator can spawn again in 3 places, one of which is in the Kepler area, just on these benches here. It'll be on the side of the bench and you can pick it up. Another one of the spawns is in the arcade. It will be on top of this blue bin here on the raised area of the arcade, so it's not the bottom floor, it's the raised up little bit. And the final calculator spawn is in Cosmic Way once again, and it's going to be lying on this bench here, and you can pick it up nice and easily. Assuming you've checked all 9 of these spots, you should end up with one of each of those parts, a boombox, a calculator, and an umbrella, and they eventually are going to allow you to build the seticom. However, there is a condition that you need to have met in order to do so. What needs to happen is you need to have the parts for the seticom, and you need to have opened the Pack-a-Punch, and then you need to go to the next round. And once you go to the next round, you should hear the UFO embedded in the mountain, which is Polar Peak, start making some strange noises, some honking sounds, if you will, and it'll start lighting up as well. Once you have heard those honks, you can go and find the Hoff in one of his DJ booths. There's a spawn for him in the Journey into Space area, there's another spawn in the Polar Peaks area, and finally there's one in Kepler. And once you find him, go and interact with him, and he should build the seticom for you. It will give you a big sticker in your sticker pack. Your job now is to run around the map and look for the location where you can place this seticom down. There are a bunch of locations. I'm going to run through them all now and rate them easy, medium, or hard, just so that you guys can have an idea of whether you're likely or unlikely to manage a defense with whatever setup you might have in your game. So the first we'll talk about is outside Polar Peak. This one is definitely certified easy, shouldn't cause you really much trouble at all. Use a sentry gun if you're worried, but it's really quite straightforward. Inside the gift shop at Polar Peak is another location. It's not as easy as the one that I just talked about, but it's still pretty easy, so I guess I'd rate it a medium rating. The key to doing this one effectively is using the trap, the steel mountain trap. It will save you so much hassle and really make your life a lot easier, so this one isn't really too bad. Another possible spawn is the fountains area of the map just beyond Polar Peak, and this one can get quite difficult. So for this, I recommend you have extra explosives, like for example, a pack-a-punched howitzer is extremely useful, and those pack-a-punched Kendalls I mentioned at the beginning of the video will really help you out as well. Also, pro tip, put the seticom on one of the jets of water. There's a pink one there that is perfect for it, and the zombies will be killed if they're attacking it while the water jet goes up. Another possible spawn is in the Kepler district of the map. I'd rate this one probably medium. It can get a little difficult if you're unprepared. One tip I would give you is that you can kind of tickle the alligator's mouth, and what I mean by that is that you can stand in it and then run away again, and then it'll slam, and then you can stand in it and run away again, and it'll slam and stand in it, run away again, etc. And that way, it's almost like you have a trap running the entire time, but you have to keep triggering it. So it just kind of thins the zombie hordes for you a little bit. Another spawn that I think is extremely nasty, and I would definitely give a hard rating to, is in the Journey to Space area. This one is just bad. It's just plain bad. Sometimes it works out fine, but other times it's horrific. So I would really make sure that you are set up and ready for this bad boy if you have it for potentially your second or third defense. It's definitely much easier in co-op, but in solo, you might have a bit of a tough time with this one. On the flip side, underground, there's also a spawn which is by far, in my opinion, the easiest one to defend. This is a cakewalk. It's so straightforward, you don't need any tips to do it, just shoot the zombies and you'll be fine. Final one is just next to the bumper cars. I'd rate this probably medium. It's pretty easy, to be honest, but it's not quite as easy as things like the bridge one that I mentioned earlier, or the one underground. So I said that you need to find which of these locations you can put your seticom down in. You'll know because your screen will start shaking, your HUD will kind of bump around a little bit, and so that combined with the fact that it says hold square to place seticom should be a pretty clear indicator that that location is the correct one for you to be putting the seticom down in. Once you find a spot and you do your SETI defense, you have two possible outcomes. One, you fail, in which case you get no max ammo, you get a brute spawning in, and you have to go and talk to the Hoff again in order to get another refreshed seticom, or you succeed, in which case you have no brute spawn, success, you do get a max ammo, double success, and you're ready to go and place your seticom somewhere else next round. You do have to go from the round you're on to the next round in order to find the location, because otherwise your screen won't shake and you won't know where you can place it. As you do these, by the way, the time for which you need to defend the seticom will increase So it'll go from 60 seconds to 90 seconds to 2 minutes. And once you've done that third one, you then need to go 2 further rounds, at which point the hoff will grant you a new item. It's not going to be another seticom this time, it's going to be a little radio of some sort. Once you get this radio, you're pretty much actually at the boss fight. And I know that sounds weird because we haven't really done many steps in this Easter egg. We've just found some parts and then defended a thing 3 times, and that's it. But that's the way the Easter egg works. So what you're going to want to do at this point is go back to the Cosmic Way area of the map around the Pack-a-Punch teleporter. And what you'll see is that there are 3 gold coins on the floor. You can put radios on all of those gold coins, and you can put another radio right in front of the Pack-a-Punch portal itself. When you get to this point and you've got those 4 radios down, stop and go through a little checklist in your head. Have you got a, for example, refreshed Fate and Fortune deck? Have you got enough points so that if you go down, you'll be able to buy your items from the Lost and Found? Have you, for example, got a repulsor which you can use mid-fight in order to clear out any zombies in front of you? Do you have 5 perks? Do you have 5 guns? Or rather, do you have 2 guns, or maybe 3 guns if you have Mule Kick, but guns that you're happy to take into the boss fight and use for the duration of the fight itself. This is going to be like 30 minutes to 45 minutes to potentially an hour of you using these same guns. And if ammo becomes a problem, are you going to be screwed? Think about these things before you go into the fight. Once you're confident that you are ready to go, congrats, because this is where things really get fun, in my opinion. There's 2 stages to this. The first is a sort of weird version of Simon Says, and the second is the boss fight proper, featuring the big bully, Mr. Alien. To get into the Simon Says section, if you're in solo, just hold use on a radio. If you're in co-op, hold use on a radio simultaneously at the same time as the rest of your team. When you start the Simon Says section, what will happen is you'll see the 4 radios that you've placed down have a color associated with each of them. It can be green, blue, yellow, or red. And these colors will be fixed for the remainder of your game. What you're going to want to do, probably, is write down on a bit of paper in front of you, or something like that, which color corresponds to which side of the kind of diamond that the 4 radios form. The next thing that will happen is those 4 colors of the 4 locations will suddenly all go off. And in the sky, the UFO that is flying around up there is going to play 4 different notes. Don't worry about the actual pitch of the notes, but instead focus on the color of the UFO itself. It will cycle through the 4 colors in some order, so it could be green, blue, yellow, red, or green, red, yellow, blue, or whatever. And what you need to do is note down the order of the colors that it shows. Then, just after it finishes playing that 4th tone and the 4th color shows on the UFO itself, what will happen is you'll see a white beam come out of each of the radios that we were talking about a moment ago. And as soon as that white beam appears, you can run over to whichever radio is the first in the order that the UFO has played. Then quickly, as soon as possible, as fast as you can, run to the next color in your list. So if your list is green, blue, yellow, red, you're going to go, I don't know, Journey, Polar, Kepler, Spawn. Go as fast as you possibly can, and if you are quick enough and you match the order that the UFO showed you, then what will happen is all 4 radios, as soon as you hit that last 4th radio, all 4 of them will instantly have a colored beam coming out of them again. The UFO above you will start blinking some random colors all crazily and tripping out a little bit, and you also won't have any brutes. If you mess the order up, or you're too slow, you could get a brute, and you won't have that same effect of having the UFO go all crazy above you. So that's how you know that you haven't succeeded, and you haven't got on to the next stage. You've got to do this Simon Says step 3 times, and it can be a little tricky, especially in co-op, because you can't just have one person pressing all the buttons. You've got to have your teammates helping you out so that you can do it as fast as possible. You want to be hitting boom, Journey, boom, Polar, boom, Kepler, boom, Spawn, as fast as you possibly can, or it simply is not going to allow you to progress. Now then, if you feel like you're not ready to hit a combination when it finishes that fourth note, that fourth tone, the fourth honk, if you will, then don't worry. All you've got to do is not touch the radios and the UFO will cycle through the process again, so it'll give it a little bit of time of the radios being white, and then they'll go colored again, and then the UFO will play the combination, and then they'll go white again, and then if you're ready by that point, go ahead and try and enter them as soon as possible. As soon as it goes white, you can start off your combination. However, if you don't feel ready, just wait. You won't be penalized for waiting. As long as you don't touch the radios at all, nothing bad will happen to you. So if you fail 3 times, for example, and you have 3 brutes spawn in, and it's getting real crazy, just don't touch the radios for a bit, kill the brutes, and then go back to doing the radio step. Okay? Each time you enter an order successfully, like I mentioned before, you'll get the colored beams coming straight out of the radios as soon as you hit that 4th one, and that's a very good sign. But you also get a max ammo in the first few zombies that you kill after that happens. That happens for the 1st and 2nd and 3rd waves, which is really great news, really. If you enter your 3rd combo successfully, you'll hear a quote, and you'll suddenly see that clowns are spawning in all over the place. So, one word of advice really, run, get some distance from the clowns, and then turn around and start firing into them. Generally, this isn't too hard, it's just a case of seeing the clowns coming at you and taking them out before they can get too close. Once you clear pretty much all of the clowns in the wave, which will take around about 2 minutes or so, maybe a little less, what will happen is the boss will spawn in. And if you're in co-op, the bosses will spawn in, because you have an alien boss per player in your game. So 4 people means 4 aliens. Yeah, it's a nightmare. Let's think about this from the solo point of view. There's you, there's a load of zombies, and there's an alien. How do you kill the alien? Well, it's got a little collar around its neck, which has a colored light on it. It starts off green, and once you put a load of damage into that alien, and believe me, it takes a while, what will happen is it'll go amber, and then it'll go red. So you're depleting his health bar by shooting him. Pretty standard stuff. Then, once he goes red, what you're going to need to very carefully do is wait until he is in front of you somewhere, and then shoot him for that final little bit of health that he has, take it all out, and he'll bow down on one knee. Or he'll throw up a little yellow shield for a moment, and then he'll bow down on one knee. Once this happens, you're in a really good spot because you can go around the back of the alien, knife him, and if you do it right, you will knife his backpack, which contains 2 fuses. By knifing him, you get rid of one of those fuses. You then have to go through the entire rigmarole again of having him on green HP, you shooting him for about 27 million years, getting him down to red, then waiting for him to be in front of you, shooting him for that final bit of health, he'll go down on one knee again, you knife him in the back again, and then he's got no fuses left. Which is a really good sign, because that means he has no backup generators. He has no way of respawning himself now. So he'll have one more life. You've got to go from green to amber to red one last time, and once you do that, you just shoot the damn guy, and he dies. And that just so happens to be the end of the boss fight. Now, I'm going to be doing a super in-depth video on all the tips and tricks I know to keep you alive in the fight itself, because it can be quite difficult. The alien will kickbox you back into the horde that's behind you and ruin your day over and over again if you're not very careful. He'll stun you, he'll summon zombies in front of you, he'll do all sorts of things that are really rather nasty. The advice I'm going to give right now is to play extremely slowly and play with safety in mind, much more so than damage. If there's any possibility that you are going to get hit by the zombies and potentially swarmed or whatever, or you're going to get stunned by the alien and then swarmed, get out of there ASAP. Don't worry about shooting anything. Don't worry about getting that knife on his fuse box on his back if he goes down on one knee but he's in a bad spot. Just let him regen, let him do whatever, but keep yourself safe. Because ultimately, if you lose your perks here, you can't go and buy Jug. You can't go and buy all your perks back. You're going to be screwed if you're not really careful. So the moral of the story is play safe. And also, when he is really, really low on health, and you know he's really, really low on health, be smart about it. Don't start shooting him in crazy locations where you know you won't be able to go and get that knife, because if you miss the knife, he will just regen. You obviously don't want that to happen. You don't want your hard work to go to waste, so be smart. Once you whittle that alien down, knock off his first fuse, whittle him down again, knock off his second fuse, and then kill him, you're basically at the end of the Easter egg. But you're not quite done yet. Be aware of the fact that the UFO is still in the sky and it's going to be firing energy balls at you, so be wary of those, okay? You don't want to go down now. Outside the Pack-a-Punch portal, there's going to be an alien fuse which you can pick up. You can then go into the Pack-a-Punch portal and use those alien fuses to infuse the Pack-a-Punch with some kind of alien technology, I suppose, to allow you to double Pack-a-Punch your weapons. And this will mean that you can finally upgrade those 4 Wonder Weapon pistols that I mentioned at the beginning of this video. You're actually going to need to do that. So once again, I'm going to remind you that I have guides for all 4 of those Wonder Weapon pistols on my channel, and they're linked in the description down below, but you should really have built one in your game because I did mention it at the beginning of the vid. And assuming you have built one, what you're now going to need to do is upgrade it in the machine for 10,000 points, and then come out of the Pack-a-Punch area and go to the big Welcome to Spaceland sign that is just outside the spawn on the map. You'll notice that there are several blue spheres embedded in that sign, and if you shoot them, they'll turn yellow. This is great because when you shoot all of them, you'll channel a load of electricity through that sign along the railings that are going through the map, and it will then channel into the Pack-a-Punch and fire a beam of energy into the air. If the UFO is above the Pack-a-Punch, when you do this, it's going to explode. Congrats, you have just shot it down. There will be a piece of soul key just sitting outside the Pack-a-Punch for you to pick up, and congratulations, you've just completed the Soul Key achievement. That pretty much wraps up my ultimate guide to the Zombies in Spaceland Easter egg. I really hope it's been useful. I've put a huge amount of time into this, and so I really hope that you guys are supportive as you always are on the video. Leave some likes. Make sure to subscribe as well if you want to be the most up-to-date zombie slayer out there, and hopefully I'll see you very soon in some other guides on my channel, or maybe some storyline stuff for zombies, or whatever might come up. Thanks for watching, guys. I've been MrRoflWaffles. See you later. Bye-bye.